Julian K. lived as if every day was his own personal catwalk. His life built on outward glitz seemed perfect. He was a man who knew how to be desirable, how to talk the talk, move the look. His ability to find an approach to women made him the best in the business. Every meeting with a client was like a carefully staged play where he played the role of the perfect man, seductive, understanding and sophisticated. But behind it all there was a greater loneliness that Julian tried not to think about. His luxurious apartment full of designer furniture was empty and cold. The only sound in it was often the sound of his footsteps, from which he seemed to be trying to escape. Meeting Michelle Stratton changes many things in his life. Her image sticks in his mind from the first second. Her eyes full of longing stood out against the background of the noisy and colorful crowd. She seemed like a woman from another world, of a world where the outer shell is as important as the inner conflicts. Julian saw that she was unhappy in her marriage. Her husband, a powerful politician, saw her more as an ornament than a partner. Their first conversation is full of innuendo, hidden questions, and a slight tension that only increases their mutual attraction. In these conversations, Julian senses something he hasn't felt in a long time: a genuine interest in another person who sees him not only as a professional, but as a person. Their connection begins to develop. They meet at lavish restaurants, walk on beaches, and talk in her car. Julian feels Michelle slowly opening up to him. She talks about her pain, her disappointment in her marriage, how she is tired of being in her husband's shadow. He listens to her carefully, watching every movement of her lips, every emotion in her eyes. She becomes something more to him than a client or another infatuation. Michelle evokes feelings in him that he hasn't known in a long time, a desire to be needed, to be real. But Julian's life is a delicate game, and he realizes that joy can't last forever. When Judy Ranzel is found murdered, his world begins to crumble. News of the murder instantly fills the newspaper pages and television screens. Julian can't believe he's at the center of this scandal. All his past, all his work becomes a threat, because now his name is associated with a brutal crime. Detective Sunday begins his investigation. This man is a true professional, for whom the truth is more important than anything else. He does not hide his prejudice against Julian. For him, Julian is a symbol of everything that is wrong in the modern world, the emptiness behind which hides money, deceit, and the use of others for his own benefit. The interrogations become more and more grueling. Sandy pressures him, trying to find cracks in his stories. Julian, convinced of his innocence, keeps calm at first, but with each new encounter with the detective his nerves begin to fray. He feels the trap closing around him. Lisa Williams, his client, who could confirm his alibi, refuses to do so. Her fear of a possible scandal is stronger than her desire to help him. Julian realizes he's becoming increasingly isolated. His social circle of clients, pimps and casual acquaintances begins to break down. The situation reaches a critical point when Julian finds Judy's belongings in his apartment. He realizes that someone is deliberately trying to frame him. This discovery sends him into a state of panic. Who could hate him enough to ruin his life? Julian begins to feel the fear and paranoia eating away at him. He turns to Leon, a man who has always been something of a mentor to him, albeit without much emotional attachment. Leon is cold and calculating and refuses to help. Conflict erupts between them, with anger, despair, and betrayal intertwined. When Leon falls from the balcony, Julian is left in a state of shock. His attempt to save the pimp was sincere, but fate has decreed otherwise. Realizing he has no other choice, Julian turns himself in to the police. His arrest becomes a major news story. People avidly watch his downfall as a drama plays out before their eyes. But that's when Michelle shows up. She does what Julian no longer hopes to do. She risks everything to protect him. Her statement that he was with her the night of the murder sounds to Julian like a rescue, but also like a blow. He realizes that her act not only saves him, but also destroys her own life. At a meeting in prison, she confesses her feelings to him. Her words sound sincere and deep, and in that moment Julian realizes how much he cares for her. Julian looks at her through the bars and his eyes are a mixture of gratitude, love, and guilt. He realizes that her love has given him a second chance, but at the same time he wonders if he deserves her. Michelle, despite all the difficulties, is ready to make any sacrifice for him. Their connection becomes a symbol of something real in a world full of falsehood and lies. But will they be able to overcome everything that stands between them? This question remains unanswered, forcing the viewer to think about what is really important in life.